My name is Tricia Speyer. I am the president of Northeast Ohio Society for Technical Communication this year, and I am pleased to introduce Jason Vensel. Jason is a past president of NEO STC. He has been to several summits, and his company is sending 4 associates this year. So he's had some experience at the summits. And last year, he gave us great tips for attending the summit in Denver. So if you attended that summit, good for you. So he has built up even more experience. So this year, he will tell us why we need to attend Summit in 2020. With the early registration ending December 31st, now is the time to take action. We are recording this presentation, and I will hand it off gladly to Jason Vensel. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Tricia, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this quick mini webinar. We're going to cover about 5 tips or so today. Some of them will be similar to the ones that we provided last year if you attended that webinar. And if you've attended a summit before or you've never attended one but you're thinking about it, I think there'll be something in here for everyone. As Tricia mentioned, I've been a member of NEO STC for about 5 years now. Sometimes it feels longer. I was surprised when I looked that up, but apparently it's been 5 years. I am a former president, and I served as the public relations chair for a while. I've been in TechCom here for over 20 years. I work for a software company in Akron, Ohio. We do turnkey software and hardware technology solutions for the car care industry. What that really means is we provide point of sale and tunnel solutions for conveyorized tunnel car washes. We also recently acquired a lube software point of sale company and have added them to our portfolio. And then we also do some marketing for car washers. We have a slogan, and it may need updated, but it basically says it happens over 1 million times a day. A car is washed or serviced with one of the solutions that we provide. We have customers in all 50 states, I believe last count 8 countries, and probably about 5,000 or so businesses across that area. You might be surprised at the amount of technology that is being provided to car washers. So if you're curious after the webinar and you want to see more about what we do and what's actually going on inside of car washes, you can visit our website at drbsystems.com. As Tricia mentioned, I am a 3-time and soon to be 4-time summit attendee. The first one I attended was in Columbus here in Ohio in 2015. I attended again in Washington, D.C. in 2017, and then last year out in Denver. And then I just registered last week for Summit in Bellevue. So I find a lot of value in this conference, and I'm looking forward to going again this year. Tip number 1, we'll put the most important one at the beginning, vacation. Anytime I travel for work, I always like to find time or make time to go and see stuff. It's great when the company is paying you to go travel. And so if you can go see some things on a discounted rate because you're not covering airfare or hotel or conference registration, then it's good to take advantage of that. And if you're sending yourself, it's probably even more reason to turn it into a bit of a vacation. So I would advise that you arrive early. This year, the conference is going to be a little bit different. It starts on a Friday and ends on a Monday. Up until this year, it started on a Sunday and ended on a Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But with that new format in mind, you might want to arrive a Wednesday or Thursday and or depart on Tuesday or Wednesday. There's a lot to do in the Seattle Bellevue area. And once the summit starts, you're going to be busy. there's just not going to be time to do things after the conference, after the educational sessions end, because there are other activities going on that are part of the summit that aren't necessarily educational sessions. And if you're doing those, there really is no time to go do sightseeing type things. Conference is a little weird in that it's in Bellevue, which is not Seattle, but it's right across the lake from Seattle. So you're really close to Seattle. But if you're looking at Bellevue, there are a couple things you can do here. 10 minutes from the conference hotel is Xanadu 2.0. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. That is actually Bill Gates' house. It sits right on the lake. You won't be able to go inside it, but it is right there. You can walk up to a gate and see where Bill Gates lives. Next is the Bellevue Botanical Garden. That's about a 7-minute car drive. That is free and it's open 365 days a year. The Bellevue Arts Museum is about 4 minutes, and it's a little bit further here, but Mount Rainier is about a 90-minute drive. That's pretty far, so you will have to come in earlier or later if you want to go visit there. But it might be worth doing if you're into hiking and getting up close to mountains like this. You will be able to see it from Seattle and Bellevue. So if that's good enough for you, then you can skip the 90-minute car ride. But again, if you like hiking and outdoor activities, that might be worth it. If you go across the lake over to Seattle, about a 20-minute car ride, you've got the original Starbucks. You've got the Pike Place Market, which if you've never been there, you've probably at least seen pictures of it and their famous sign. You've got the Seattle Space Needle. That'll cost about $35 for a ticket up. You might be able to find some discounts through AAA. I believe you can purchase tickets in advance, which you may want to do. I know a lot of attractions, not necessarily in Seattle, but other places I've traveled to before, often sell out well in advance. And so it's not like you can just walk up to a ticket counter necessarily and buy a ticket to go see something. There's the Museum of Pop Culture that was started by Paul Allen, who is one of the founders of Microsoft. If you're into music, video games, things like that, movies, that might be worth spending some time. That's also about a 30-minute drive from the hotel. You also have just south of Seattle, the Museum of Flight. It's an airplane and aircraft and spacecraft museum. It's very large, and you probably want to spend a whole day there, set aside a whole day there. But it's very impressive. They have quite a collection, and that might be worth looking at. Last thing I have on here are Where Are the Llamas? Just a little personal story. So last time I was in Seattle was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I took my wife and our 3-year-old and 2-year-old sons at the time up there because my college roommate was getting married. And so we went up there and did a little sightseeing before the wedding. And while we were around the Pike Place Market, there's a park up near there. And it was in the evening, and we're walking around, and my 3-year-old son said, "I smell llamas." My my wife and I looked at each other, and it wasn't llamas. Somebody was smoking something, but thought that was funny. And so there are no llamas, but you may get some other interesting smells while you're there. Tip number 2, there's a lot of free content available outside of the educational sessions. You can maximize your conference experience by signing up for these. The first one is Friday morning. It's the STC Communities Leadership Program. It's a 4-hour program. Runs from 8 a.m. to noon. The best way to get into this is to approach your regional chapter and align with them. And if you can go through them, it's a good way to get signed up for this. It's free, but if you're interested in exploring leadership opportunities within your chapter, there's some really good programming on leadership just in general, but also on being a leader within your community. And you'll learn more about resources that are available to you, both for leadership and for running your community. So if that's something you think you might like, that's about a 4-hour program and it's free. The next free program, and they haven't announced it yet, but every year I've been there and every year that I haven't been there recently, Adobe has offered a 4 or 5 hour TechCom tools workshop. This is Adobe specific. They'll give you tips and tricks on using all of their different suite of TechCom tools, including RoboHelp, FrameMaker. You will want to have a laptop for that because you'll need to install the latest version of those applications on there so you can follow along and do the exercises with the instructors. But it's free, and as it gets closer to the summit, you'll want to start watching Adobe's website because they'll provide a sign up for that, and they need you to sign up so that you can attend. Also, they provide lunch, so they know how many lunches to order. Tip number 3, get involved. This deals with the STC specific activities, sort of the business of STC, the overall organization. The annual business meeting is Saturday from 5:30 to 6:30. Some people may find it a little dry. I find it interesting. It will give you exposure to the STC leadership. You'll be able to put a name and face to everybody that is on the STC leadership, the president, vice president, secretary. It'll give you a chance to ask questions. You'll get the opportunity to propose motions, and you'll get an update on the state of the STC organization in general, the financials, things that they're taking into consideration, opportunities that might arise, activities that might come up. And this is run by a strict time limit. So it's an hour. It should be done in an hour. Now, there's an asterisk there because they can propose motions to extend the meeting by, I think, 5 or 10 minute increments if there are certain things that they're talking about and people want to continue the discussion. So it can run a little bit past that, but it shouldn't run too far beyond that. They're usually pretty good about wrapping that up. Sunday from 5 to 7 is the STC Honors Reception. Free food. If you registered, you'll need your ticket, your conference registration, your badge, but that'll get you in. And they have heavy hors d'oeuvres, and there is a cash bar. It's a good opportunity to view the individual awards and community awards as those are presented on stage. And again, free food. So if you've registered for the conference, that's included. So you want to take advantage of that. Tip 4, don't just attend the educational sessions during the day and then go back to your hotel and Netflix or crash, take a nap. You really want to make the most of this by getting out and attending social events, meeting people, networking. You're going to want to have business cards. You'll be able to get them from people there that you meet and connect with, and you're going to want some to hand out. If your business or your company doesn't provide them, you'll want to, in advance of attending, go out to one of the many different services that are out there that let you print your own. Again, Summit social events, there's the breakfast in the morning. It's a great opportunity to sit down at a table with people you don't know and get to meet them, learn what they do, where they come from. Uh, Refreshment breaks, also great opportunity to meet people you don't know, network, more free food. Um, it's a I don't know that it's necessarily an official event, but there's almost always a karaoke uh, event after the honors reception, usually at some location outside of the conference hotel, but nearby. It's a lot of fun. So if you think you'd like to sing, start thinking of songs now, maybe get your practice in. If you don't like to sing or you're not comfortable doing that, it's still a good time. It's always fun watching other people sing. Um, the last thing here is I have pub crawl. So when I attended Columbus in 2015, one of the attendees organized a pub crawl in Columbus, going around to some different bars and pubs. The person who organized that was Ryan Armstrong. He did not attend Washington, D.C., and he did not attend Denver. So there wasn't a pub crawl. I heard there was a pub crawl in Orlando in 2018. I did not attend that one, but I believe he did. So I think the pub crawl is entirely dependent on his attendance. I will say that he also sometimes posts or seeks feedback on whether or not you're interested in a pub crawl if he's going to a conference on his Twitter account. So if you're interested in a pub crawl, you'll want to follow at 97. I've got the Twitter handle down there at the bottom. Because I know other conferences he's attended, I've seen him ask his Twitter followers if they're interested in a pub crawl. So if that's something you're interested in, you'll want to follow that to see, one, if he's going to have it, and two, if you want to encourage him to do so. But I did the one in Columbus, and it was very well organized. He did a great job making sure the group stayed together, made sure everybody had plenty of water to drink while they were out, and so it was a good time. Tip 5, bring your mobile phone. Twitter I've never really liked Twitter, other than to follow sports news, breaking news, stuff like that. But it's actually a pretty great tool for attending a conference. You can use Twitter to basically set up a live news feed of the conference. As we get closer to the conference, the Summit conference organizers will probably create a hashtag for the conference. If you follow that, you'll automatically see updates from everybody attending the conference, speakers at the conference, as well as the conference itself. So it's a great way to just follow everything that's going on, from what's going on inside of an educational session to different events. I know there's one day in the exhibition hall where all the vendors set up shop. This past year, they had sort of a prize patrol where everybody could sort of sign up and drop their business card in a fishbowl at the different vendors, and because they had different prizes, and then they just followed. They started sort of a parade at one vendor on the day that they drew all the prizes, and they went from each vendor to vendor to vendor. So you don't want to miss that. I know if your card's drawn, you need to be present to win. And there are a lot of people that weren't present, so they missed out on some pretty good prizes. I think there was a tablet and some other stuff. So Twitter is a great way to sort of set up a news feed for the conference. Another good thing to use Twitter for is you can sort of create a digital diary for each of the educational sessions you attend. If you set your account to private, or you set up a second account as private, you can sort of take notes, observations, capture images, and you post those, and then it creates a timeline for your conference attendance. And you're going to be attending 5, 6 educational sessions every day, and it's very easy to forget which sessions you attended which day and what you heard in each of those sessions. So it's just really a great way to create a timeline of your time there at the summit and refer to it after the conference is over and go back. Finally, with Twitter, pub crawl people. If you want it, you're gonna have to tweet it 97. So another app, and I believe this was new for Denver, is this was Attendee Hub, and it was sort of sponsored by Summit, the actual conference organizers. They put the entire conference educational session schedule on there. The educational speakers were able to upload their presentations. So when you're sitting in an educational session, a lot of times people in prior Summit conferences, people have asked if they could have the presentation, the PowerPoint or slide deck, and usually the speakers had to make that available in other ways. With the Attendee Hub app, it lets them load it up there, so you can go back and access the educational session you attended and grab that PowerPoint or slide deck and download it either to your mobile device or however you're running the app. Bonus tip. If you're a first-time attendee, don't be afraid to leave an educational session if you get in and it turns out to be something you didn't think it was. The conference organizers have done a better job at sort of weeding out speakers who end up talking more about a certain product that their company makes, a TechCom tool type product. Sometimes educational sessions can feel like advertisements for those products, which if you're interested is great. But if you are hoping to learn more about how to create specific kinds of TechCom and you just want to, the educational session's not what you thought it was, it's okay if you quietly gather your belongings and leave. You're also going to find that there are going to be conflicts with sessions you want to attend. So if you go to one and it's not what you wanted to go to, and you find out there's another one you were interested in, it's a good thing to just go ahead and get up and leave and go to the other one. At this time, we can open it up for questions and answers. If the webinar attendees today have any suggestions on tips or tricks for making the most out of the conference?
We can open up the microphones if you'd like to ask any questions, or feel free to enter some in the chat. In the meantime, I was looking up the links. There are a couple of pages on the STC website if you need to convince your boss to go to the summit. There are a couple of pages with templates for information like that. So as soon as I find those, I'll paste those in the chat.
I was just going to say STC usually provides a pre-conference or conference booklet. You can look for at the STC website for that. And I usually go through that even if I'm in the plane going, and I always have like somewhat of an itinerary for each day. Even if I'm not sure I exactly want one, it just gives me a roadmap. The reason I say that is if you start out with just the booklet, you only have like 5 or 10 minutes to go between sessions, and it can get a little crazy, especially if you want to visit with somebody or talk to somebody in the hall. So I usually have kind of a rough outline for where I'm going. So I would suggest you look for that STC conference booklet on the website.
And I saw that Kelly Graham posted a message a little while ago. If your SIG, your special interest group, has a session, try your hardest to attend. That's true, because most of the time your SIG connection is all on the internet, and it's great to see the faces of the people. They also have luncheons or get-togethers. Be sure to make contact with the people, because you'll get a lot of contacts and great information from them. I did post a couple of links from the Summit site about making a business case and convincing your boss. Continuous education, that's always the best tool.
And to Bob's point about going through the conference schedule ahead of time too and finding sessions, sometimes you can find specific sessions to use for your case in convincing your boss. If there's something that your company is working on or looking at doing and you see sessions on that, that can help strengthen your case. And I'd like to add, that's a really good point about going and giving yourself a little roadmap at the beginning too, because especially when, as someone mentioned earlier, there are sessions on multiple days that you might have conflicts with sessions of, multiple things at the same time slot that you want to go to. If you look through the whole thing, sometimes you'll find a session repeated later on or a similar session. And that can help you make a decision when you have a conflict of which one you want to go to in person and which one you might want to try to catch a recording or the slides of later.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Good points.
I'll also point out, as far as making a business case, the vendor hall is a great opportunity to talk to people from either tools you're currently using or maybe considering. When I was in Denver, I got to talk to the product manager from Adobe for the product that we use here. And they didn't have a feature that we really wanted, but they were working on it. And he was able to show me sort of the beta version of it on his personal laptop. And he was able to share that that was coming in about a month or two after the summit. So we had been monitoring the development on this particular tool for about 9 months because Adobe sort of rewrote all of their applications and released them last fall. And but they weren't ready for our team to adopt them yet. But by attending the summit and getting to see that and know that that was coming, that helped me sort of plan for the rest of this year in terms of getting my company to upgrade to the next version of that particular tool. So,
very good point. I also used the expo hall to visit vendors for a product that we ended up moving to. So it was a huge transition for us, but I got to see up close and personal the vendors. They showed me all kinds of great things, and we ended up switching tools this year because of that. So that was exciting. Well, Jason, I appreciate all the information and the tips. I have a Twitter account too, but never use it. So it's good to know that it can be useful. I never thought of creating a diary out of that. So that's pretty cool. And the attendee hub is helpful too. You can connect to people instead of having their personal contact information. You can just connect to someone through the attendee hub just to be able to connect with them during the conference. And then you don't have to share your personal cell phone or anything like that if you don't choose to. Okay, jdvensel@outlook.com. And say hey to him in Bellevue. I appreciate everyone's attendance today. I especially appreciate Jason for pulling this together. Thank you, everyone, for attending.